Whenever I was very, very young, I didn't really know any different. I was just kind of thinking, oh, yep, this is how life is, because when you're a very young child, you're not really around a whole bunch of other people. And I was only around my brother, who also had the bleeding disorder. So there wasn't a whole lot of differences I could see. But I knew I always had bruises, like all over my body, especially my shins. About preschool age, I started taking dance classes. And after my dance class every week, I would have like terrible, terrible ankle pains. And that's when I first started realizing, hey, I don't think this is normal. Other people don't seem to be having this issue. It's just me. So that was kind of my first major thinking about, I have a bleeding disorder and it's a bit different. So nosebleeds were a thing, bruises, and joint pain. Those were my main issues growing up. Joint pain is like the most common symptom. I sometimes get pretty big bruises, but I don't ever get like random bruises anymore. I just get bruises when I've bumped into something. And I'll know, oh man, that one's gonna be kind of bad, but that doesn't happen very often anymore. And it's really just joint pain with activity. I was also having a lot of problems with my periods, and because my periods weren't controlled, that's what kind of spiraled everything else out of control, with the other bleeding situations, with the joint bleeding and then the subsequent gum bleeding. My doctor knew that periods were an issue for women with bleeding disorders, but he kind of just said, it'll be fine. You're just having a hard time right now, even though it had been like 6 months. He just said, you'll grow out of it. It'll be fine. We'll deal with it later when it's better. But the most common thing that was discounted was the joint pain and swelling. Whenever I was younger, my pediatric hematologist, if I had issues, especially with my joints, he would just say, you're fine. It's growing pains. That's not a bleeding disorder symptom. Your bleeding disorder is just mucosal bleeding. So I was never really treated for my joints or believed that I was having any issues. And that was pretty difficult to deal with because it was some pretty intense pain that I would have with activity. I would definitely say it's not okay for your doctor to tell you that your symptoms are taken care of when they're not. That's not an okay situation ever. So definitely just keep saying, hey, no, that's not gonna work for me. And maybe try to find other examples of, I know this person and this is what was done for them. Or talk to possibly another physician. Going to the conferences and meeting other people was something that was really helpful for me, and doing things like that where I could say, hey, no, I need to do something about this. I've talked to other people, this is what they're doing, it's worked for them. Or other people do actually have joint pain, so this is not just a me thing. Other people with factor X deficiency have very similar symptoms. So this is actually related to the bleeding disorder. My factor X deficiency is severe. My body naturally makes less than 1% of the factor X. So without medication, I would have very severe symptoms and probably would not be able to be here today. Life without treatment would be very, very difficult. My body probably would not make clots at all, or if they did, they would not last long because my body naturally only makes less than 1% of normal. So I would not be able to be active at all. I'd probably be wheelchair bound because my joints wouldn't be okay to be walking around all the time. I'd be very, very delicate. Just because we have a number of this is what your factor level is, that doesn't necessarily correlate with what your bleeding level will be. Because my brother and I, we have the exact same disorder. We are both severe, less than 1%. And we both have very similar treatment, but I would experience more issues than he did. With treatment with Coagadex, my peak level is about 75% of normal and my trough level is about 25% of normal. In previous history with bleeding symptoms, I found that around 20% of normal is when I start having more symptoms. So I take Coagadex twice a week. I do have factor on hand all the time just in case something would happen. I also always take it with me in the car if I'm going somewhere because a lot of hospitals don't have this drug. So just in case something would happen, I always have it on me. But I don't think I've ever had to take an on-demand dose. With Coagadex and my prophylactic treatment, I'm confident that I'm not going to have the more extreme bleeding symptoms. I can do more activities knowing that I'm going to be okay afterwards because I won't have the major joint pain that I did with my other treatment. Taking Coagadex has really helped with my symptoms and my outlook on life as a factor 10 deficiency patient. It's a lot less of a daunting experience having the bleeding disorder because I know that there is a treatment available for me that works for what I need it to do. I knew like if I wanted to go to college or move out of the house or something, I would have to learn how to do the infusions myself and like be more independent. So that was kind of the goal, was I don't want to rely on my parents or a nurse or somebody else to do this for me. Whenever I was first learning to give myself the infusions, I had a really, really hard time with it. So I understand what it's like to be afraid of needles, especially doing it to yourself, but it's just something you have to do and you have to talk yourself up to it. And I found that you're able to do a lot more things than you think you can. You just have to say, all right, this is what's gotta happen, and just do it. And it eventually was all fine, and I can stick myself in a lot of funky places and not have any issue with it. My infusion time is much less than what it was with my previous treatment. Whenever I first started learning, it would take me about an hour to get all of the supplies set up and the medicine reconstituted, but now it takes me about 20 minutes to do everything. So setting everything up and sticking and infusing. So it's gotten a lot faster and I'm a lot more efficient with it, and it's not a big deal. I don't really have to plan my day around doing infusions because it's just a 20-minute activity. So I didn't think I would go to college. I didn't think I'd really become very independent. But with Coagadex, I was able to learn how to give myself infusions just in time when I was graduating high school. So I was able to move out of the house and go to college and be more independent and be able to take care of myself without relying on other people because I could give myself the infusions.